So this is something that we've talked about on a pretty frequent basis, and what it is the idea of, should I pay my mortgage off early? And like we've said in the past, it depends on your situation, depends on a person's health, depends on the interest rate, a whole lot of different variables. But what I want to do is just generalize and talk about the basic question of, should I pay my mortgage off as I'm getting close to retirement? It's a topic with lots of clients retiring over the last couple years that comes up. And of course, the first instinct, probably rightly so, that comes into most people's mind is, I've only got 6, 7, 8 years on it. I'm going to be retired on a fixed income, pension, investments. I'm just going to go ahead and pay it off. And while that can be an easy decision to just make, it may not be the right decision, because a person may be able to continue to pay their mortgage within their pension income and their modest investment withdrawals. So it may not be a situation where they just have to pay it off. It just might feel good to pay it off. Then there's the idea of, well, my parents or whatever, they paid theirs off and they had it paid off in retirement. I don't want to have 6, 7, 8 years of my retirement paying a mortgage. We also have to take into consideration the different world that was 20, 30 years ago when maybe your parents were retiring. They were paying, likely still at that time, 7, 8, 9% mortgage interest. Maybe today on a mortgage that was taken out 15, 20 years ago, maybe it's been refinanced, maybe it's 3, 4, 5%. So it's not a double-digit interest rate. That's another consideration. But one of the things we haven't talked about before that dawned on me the other day in communicating with one of our clients is, regardless of what the interest rate is, maybe you don't want to pay it off in the last 3, 4, 5, 6 years. And why not? It has everything to do with amortization. And I think if any of us can remember back to a home that we purchased, in the disclosure, it gives you an amortization, and basically what it shows you is for the first few years, you are paying almost all interest and very little principal against your loan. And then it begins to flip. 7, 8, 10 years in, 15 years in, 20 years, you start to pay way more of the principal than you're paying of interest. So by just making a knee-jerk decision, you are basically getting to a point in your loan with only a few years left where you might have $6,000, $7,000 a year going to your principal, and maybe less than $1,000 of interest. So you're actually getting to a point in your loan where the bank's almost paying you to hold this mortgage for a few more years and make payments. And sometimes that can be the better situation for obvious reasons we talked about. Another reason that may be a wonderful decision for someone that's going to retire to keep that mortgage is, if they don't have to take $40,000 or $60,000 out of their emergency fund or their investments to pay that mortgage off, they've just left themselves some liquidity, because in the first year or two that our clients retire, it doesn't always go like they expect. They've never been retired before. They've never done this job of retirement, this career, and there's unexpected expenses. And by having that buffer that you didn't pay off on the house, you still could anytime that you wanted to, but now you have this buffer left for emergencies or things that go wrong in your first year or two of retirement.